Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here with Visionary Veda, bringing you your Vedic Astrology New Moon Report for this April 30th, 2022. In this New Moon Report, I'm going to go over the energies at play for this New Moon happening in the sidereal sign of Aries in the Nakshatra of Bharani, Bharani Nakshatra. This new moon is going to be extra special because it's also the first solar eclipse of the season. So how is this going to play out, and what are the energies that are going to lend itself to this new moon? Well, let's get started. All right. So this new moon happening on April 30th, 2022, or May 1st, 2022, depending on where you are in this big, beautiful world, is a very special new moon indeed. It's happening, as I said, in the first sign of the zodiac, which is Aries. Now, Aries, as we all know, is the first sign. It's the sign of the leader. It's the place where the sun gets its exaltation. So this is the sign where those in leadership positions, those in government positions, in places of authority, feel the most empowered, all right? When the new moon starts, it will be happening with Rahu. Now, Rahu has just moved into Aries earlier in the month. Some say also in March, depending on if you look at the true node versus the mean node, but just recently moved into the sign of Aries, and Ketu consequently has moved into the sign of Libra, which is opposite Aries. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have a full moon eclipse happening in Libra. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as it gets closer. But for now, how are these energies for the solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, going to play out? So because Rahu is in this sign, and the dispositor, we always have to look, because Rahu and Ketu are not actual planets. They're points in the sky where the eclipses occur. So we always have to look at where the dispositor of Rahu is sitting. In this case, it's Aries. It's sitting in Aries. So it would make the dispositor Mars, all right? The last two Rahu Ketu cycles, it's been happening in the sign of Taurus, which would make Venus the dispositor, right? And Venus is a natural benefic planet. And before that, we had Gemini, which would make Mercury the dispositor. Mercury, again, being a naturally benefic planet. So this is the first time in a long time that Rahu is going to be sitting in a rulership of a tamasic and malefic planet, Mars. As we have already seen, when Rahu and Ketu have moved into this axis, we've already seen war come about on our planet. Now, how is this going to affect that? Now, I think because it's not a total solar eclipse, it's a partial solar eclipse, we're going to get the sort of pre-shadowing or foreshadowing of what it's going to be like next year when this eclipse occurs again along the same axes. But for now, the leaders are going to most likely be affected because Rahu is the energy of ambition and greed and more. Too much is never enough to satiate this planet. We could see our leaders feeling a bit egoistic, wanting to take the credit for things, wanting to be in the spotlight more. We can see the ego flare up a bit more, wanting to prove something, wanting to prove that it's their way or the highway, really coming into conflict maybe with other leaders around the world. This can also extend to anybody who has this sort of authoritarian role in life. Because it's partial, They could be out of acting in the ego. They could be making moves which aren't necessarily thought out properly and are not based in more egoic sort of means, like doing things out of wanting to be recognized versus the good of their countries or of the people. Now, remember I said that we need to look at the dispositor. The dispositor, Mars, is sitting in the middle of Aquarius. All right. Now, the sign of Aquarius is what? It's a Saturn-owned sign. Saturn is going to be at 0 degrees. Saturn just moved into Aquarius from Capricorn. So it just moved the day before. So when a planet is just moving signs, it's not as strong, it's just getting used to its new sign. But because it's a Saturn ruled sign, it's a good placement, right? It's going to be giving its effects onto this eclipse. But Mars is sitting there too with Aquarius. So what I see this energy playing out as, because Aquarius is the sign of innovation, of people, of groups, of change, of decentralization, of newness. And remember, also we have Uranus sitting in Aries as well. And it's important to bring Uranus into this picture this time, because Uranus also represents change and innovation. So the leaders are going to be threatened, and more change is going to be coming in, and the powers are going to shift. Power is going to shift from me to we, to us. Even though the leaders may not be thinking about us, the us coming together is going to be gaining power. Now, this is just the first eclipse, so we're going to see this playing out through the 18-month cycle of Rahu and Ketu. But already you can see it happening. You can feel it happening. There's a cultural shift happening. People are realizing that the leaders don't have our best interest at heart, and they're beginning to organize and support other avenues of interest that are better and serve the masses and serve the people. Remember, Saturn is the planet that supports democracy. Saturn supports the people. When it was in Capricorn, it was karma time. It was karma time. And Saturn's been in Capricorn for the past few years. And we all know what happened when Saturn went into Capricorn, is when this whole medical crisis, this whole thing happened in January of 2020. So it's like our karma coming back to us, right? It happened for us to be able to take a step back and see the circus that's been running the show, and open our eyes. And now, when Saturn moves into Aquarius, even though it's only going to be there for a few months, April, May, June, July, before it retrogrades back into Capricorn, we're going to see the first wave of change, of redistribution of power, a shift, a big cultural shift is upon us. If you remember, I did a video way back then, I think it was around December 2019, where I looked at the similarities of these cycles that are coming into play again right now. And it's the cycle of, very similar to the 60s, when there was a lot of war and a lot of corruption happening. And at the same time, there was a burgeoning cultural revolution, an awakening happening. And this partial solar eclipse is our foreshadowing of what is going to come. Now, I don't think it's going to be a very intense eclipse. Of course, as with any eclipse, it's important to stay centered. It's important not to come from a place of fear or reactivity or impulsivity. But if we look at the benefic planets right exactly at the time of this eclipse, we have Jupiter conjunct an exalted Venus. All right, so Jupiter is the guru of the devatas. Jupiter is the guru of the gods. And Venus is the guru of the asuras, or the guru of the materialistic, the guru of money. Venus is money. Venus is luxury. Venus is things that make us feel good, make us feel comfortable. Right? The materialistic side and the spiritual side are conjunct. Both gurus are together. Venus is in its highest exaltation. Jupiter is happy in its spiritual sign of Pisces. So I feel like our values and our systems and our monetary needs are going to be okay for now. And I say for now, all right? We also have the benefic Mercury in the sign of Taurus during this eclipse. So it also shows all the benefic planets in very powerful places. And I think this is what's going to save us from a big upheaval or a big shocking sort of event around global leadership and authority. But mind you, things are changing. And even though we have these benefic planets at this time of the eclipse sort of protecting us, there is going to be it's going to be the beginning of the ripples of a big, massive, major cultural change, shift, and awakening. So, Bhairani Nakshatra is the nakshatra of Lord Yama. Lord Yama is the Lord of death. So, just as Aries is a sign of new beginnings, in order for us to have new beginnings, we have to also allow things that are not serving us to die. So allow those things to die. In your own personal life, where are places that you have been maybe trying to control too much, right? With that sun, that authority, and you need to just let go and let God with that Venus in Pisces. Let go and let God, and know that we are moving to a better future. So if you would like to have a reading with me, please feel free to email me at visionaryveda@gmail.com. I've written it below. And I will be happy to look at where in your own personal chart you are feeling the effects of this very potent and powerful partial new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. I hope this has been helpful and beneficial, and I'd like to thank you all for watching and being a part of my channel. Please like, subscribe, and share, and enjoy the life, my friends. Okay, until next time, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.